staying warm, and welcome back to another episode of the Five Tool Baseball Podcast, episode 38. I'm joined once again by Drew Bishop, and Drew, it's that time of year where I'm starting to get a little bit of a flashback to the winter storm of the century last year, and just trying to prep myself for any sort of thing that comes our way. I've learned a lot about a hot water heater the last week, but how are you doing? Things have got to get a little bit cold up there too. You're about 3 hours north of me, and I know it's freezing down here.
Yeah, you can hear the wind whipping outside our window right now, but I can tell you this, we are a lot more prepared for running into that same situation if it happens than we were last year. Have a generator.
Oh wow, you're
never letting that happen again. We didn't have power for 5 days.
Yeah,
and it was miserable. So I never want to experience that again. We will be a lot more prepared if something that bad should ever happen again. Knock on wood. But Mary's got chili cooking right now. So
okay.
Yeah. I'm excited. So.
Yeah. You're ahead of us. But
the cold isn't all bad.
No, it's not terrible. It inspires you to make some really good food and things like that. But yeah,
it's cold enough to where it's an easy decision to not walk the dogs.
Right. And so my dog usually, there's a fine line between it's a certain cold, he'll just want to go crazy outside, but it reaches a threshold to where he doesn't want to be outside. So there's kind of today was, I don't want to be outside. I want to go back and get my bed and go back to bed, which was fine. So I guess anything below about 40, he doesn't want to go run around in there. But we're hopefully we don't run into that. But yeah, just kind of, I get the alert on my phone about possible wintry mix, and I'm like, oh boy, I remember the days of not having hot water for like almost 3 weeks and power and things like that. And we got people digging in our backyard to fix a plumbing issue. Trees, I guess, are, having a big tree and trees is good for shade and grass and everything else. But sometimes those roots start to grow into your plumbing pipes. And we had to get out in front of that before our house got flooded or something like that. So the wallet took a hit with the plumbing service coming by this week, but hopefully everybody's staying warm, and hopefully we're not going to deal with another storm of the century when things are shut down. But we got a lot to talk about today. If you missed our previous episode, we kind of wrapped up our 2023 5 till 55 coverage from a podcast sense, covering that second half of the follow list. You can get to 5tool.org and read all about the follow list, the just missed list, the 2023 5 till 55 list. Before that, we had our S2 Cognition series. Those are on YouTube, Podbean, Apple Podcasts. Those three episodes with Dr. Scott Wiley, Paul Phillips, and then Lynn Van Landingham himself. I really encourage anybody that missed those. I would even tell you to, put this one on pause and go listen to the S2 ones first, because it's really fascinating stuff that we strongly believe in terms of a development tool from the baseball side, and really any sports side. I think it can really tell you a lot about how the brain processes those instant decision-making things that happen in sports and things like that. But we're going to get into the 2022 5 till 55 list today. It got a little bit of an update. I published that, I believe, on Tuesday afternoon at 5tool.org. You can go on there and see that. But as we previewed, not a ton of changes, because if we went to this list and added 15 different names and moved guys all over the place, it would basically be a free admission that we screwed up royally the first time around. And not everybody plays in the fall. Some guys play football. A lot of guys play football. Some guys, especially on the pitching side, just kind of take the fall off and really focus on their bodies and rest their arms and things like that. But there are some guys that go out and play as well, whether it's with Blue Jays scout team, Dodgers scout team, 5-tool events. I saw a bunch of players, down at Premier. You saw a bunch of guys in Dallas as well on the 22 and 23 side. So there are some guys that go out there and play, but not a ton of movement on this list. But there was one guy in particular that went way up the list, and that was Tom Ball Memorial outfielder Jarrett Curtis. I saw him with the Dodgers scout team, and I saw him with Hunter Pence Academy in one of our 5-tool events to kind of wrap up the fall season, and saw him at 100 pin scout day where he ran a 5.960. And yeah, that's real. I mean, the stopwatches were like 6:01 to 6:05. So whatever it is, it was extremely, extremely fast. And every time I saw him, he was better. He hit better every single time I saw him, and the arrow is pointing straight up. And he's ranked right now as the top outfielder in the state of Texas.
Yeah, well, I think, one of the critical things for people to take away is that, there's a couple of guys that, or well, several guys that got pushed down a spot or two. And, I think the main takeaway is that you didn't necessarily do anything wrong. We just had a couple significant risers, in Jarrett Curtis and Max Ballou jumped up a few spots up at the top. But, just those two guys alone pushed some people down, and no fault of anyone's. I think the list captures, what you talked about quite a bit, basically that, some guys didn't play, other guys, were slotted right about what we thought they were. And, it'll be fun to watch guys this spring.
Yeah. The bummer when guys move up is that somebody has to move down, and a lot of times they don't really change in terms of what we think of them in the evaluation, stuff like that. It's just purely a numerical thing that pushes them down a couple spots on the list. But yeah, it was refreshing that, I think we ended up seeing 28 of these 55 guys just in the fall. So I mean, that's basically half the list in about of a 2-month span in the fall, which I think is a great hit rate for going out seeing those guys, because again, not a lot of these guys didn't even play in the fall. But it was good to get eyes on a bunch of guys. You kind of nod your head like, okay, this is what I thought it was going to be. This is what we saw in the summer. You can feel kind of good about where we have guys positioned there. But Curtis was the guy that moved way up. You mentioned Ballou. He had that injury in the summer that kind of wiped out most of his summer. And, when I started at 5-tool, I just hadn't seen him in person yet. I knew of him. I knew how highly people thought of him. Got a chance to see him with that Blue Jay scout team this fall. And the bat from the left side, I mean, it's got a chance to be the best left-handed bat in the state. There's gap power, but he's growing into more game power in terms of driving it over the wall on occasion. We've noted previously, how hard he plays. I mean, getting down the line when it's a fall scrimmage and it's a routine grounder in the final inning of it against a JUCO team, and he's busting it down the line there. Showed some, I think, a little bit surprising defensive ability. I mean, did some things well in center field. I think he's a corner guy, but if you need him to play center in a pinch, I think he could probably pull that off. But physical left-handed hitter. I think he's got a chance to hit for average. I think he's got a chance to hit for some power as well, and a really well-rounded tool set that Max Ballou has.
Yeah, and looking at the list, we got one guy that wasn't previously on the list that made his debut. Talk a little bit about Christian Salazar and what got him on the list.
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I saw him in July. The first event I went to as a 5-tool guy was the Houston College Championships down there, spread across Rice and U of H and Sam Houston State. And he hit a bomb at Rice, and about a week later, Rice ended up getting a commitment from him. Which is kind of funny. But I get major Kike Hernandez vibes from him. I saw him play center field some in the fall. Really, everything seemingly comes natural to him. He's a guy that I think if you put him on an S2 test, I think he'd rate really well, because never looks overwhelmed, whether it's offensively, defensively. I think he's probably going to be a second baseman at Rice, but if they needed him to play the outfield, I think he could do that just as well, maybe a little bit better. He's got some quickness. He's got some speed. Hit a bomb at Premier against Hunter Pence Academy, just a really loud shot way over the fence in left center field. So even though he's a smaller guy, he's got one of those compact builds that's got some strength to it. He's got some impact off the bat. I think he's going to hit. I think he can run a little bit. I think the glove's got a chance to be at least average, maybe better than that. He made the list at number 54. Wouldn't surprise me if he keeps moving his way up, because he's got a lot of gamer about him, kind of those it qualities. And I think he's got some tools as well. He's a guy that once he gets to Rice, I wouldn't be surprised if he's kind of knocking on the door to make an impact in that lineup right away, just because of the way he carries himself on the field.
Yeah, for sure. And you know, one of the things, like, we've been starting to put together our schedule for the spring, and like we've mentioned before, our goal is to get out and see all 55 of our 22 and 23 lists. And we've started piecing together some schedules with the help of coaches sending stuff our way, and appreciate those guys getting that information to us. But starting to come together. I got fired up this morning looking at some of those preseason tournaments, because we're going to get to knock out a lot of teams early on before district even gets going, and give us a chance to really kind of single out some guys and go try to finish off the list later in the spring. But I got fired up. You know, I saw a handful of tournaments where I'll get to see multiple teams that have, you know, multiple players from both of the lists. So, you know, if you're out there and you're listening, coaches, we appreciate sending us the schedule. Players the same. We'll take it from anybody as long as the info's right. So, you know, it's getting exciting. We're getting close. I'm even getting excited to go. Let me go watch some practice tomorrow on the first day. If it warms up a little bit.
Yeah,
so
weather
I don't have to be
permitting.
out there anymore right now. So yeah, we'll see. But that's the plan for now.
Yeah, it is definitely exciting, and I'm looking at some of those early season tournaments. You know, the one in Georgetown in late February is just absolutely freaking loaded, and I think Westlake has one the same weekend that's got some really good teams as well. But yeah, it's exciting putting our schedules together, and you know, the amount of talent we're in quality teams are going to be able to see early on in the season is going to be really fun. And then some of those pivotal district matchups where those are really where you kind of start to see guys separate themselves because of the atmospheres and who elevates their game and who's getting better, and the weather starts to warm up a little bit. Pitchers are kind of building up to full strength and things like that. So really exciting time for sure. And there's going to be a lot of arms I want to get some eyes on. I know one of those guys is Clear Creek right-handed pitcher Colin McKinney, who made a nice little move in the list. A guy that the more I see him, the more he's growing into his body. He's maturing. He's starting to repeat his delivery a little bit better and things like that. I think he has a lot of upside on the mound. And then one other noteworthy move, we moved Easton Carmichael up to the top catcher in the state, just one spot ahead of Dylan Rue. I still think a lot of those catchers, there's not much separation between those guys. They're all kind of different. You know, I think Carmichael, the bat really stands out. LaRue, I think it's kind of more of an all-around game. Ryan Williams, the defensive work that he does. I mean, we had Kyle Cheesebro on from Mississippi State, and we know the catching guy that he is. And Mississippi State went out and got Ryan Williams very early on in the recruiting process, which I think speaks to what kind of defender he can be at that position. So, but Carmichael, we saw him in the fall a couple times, and man, the guy really, really hit. It's an athletic swing. He's got some balance to it. He's got some pop. I think he moves well for a catcher in terms of his agility and things like that. So bumped him up to number one in the state at the catcher position right now. Just again, I think you could flip a coin between him, LaRue, and maybe get some of those other guys in the mix as well. But yeah, not a ton of movement on the list. You know, Brandon Arvidsson and Shane Sadeo moved them up a tiny bit because I caught Arvidsson at the end of the summer, and he was just amazing. And he just keeps getting better. He's adding strength to that tall, long frame. Shane, the fastball changeup combo was just dominant when I saw him with that Dodgers scout team down in Texas A&M. But like you said, it's exciting. It's, you know, doing this list again and kind of putting some fresh eyeballs on some guys and thinking through some things. Definitely fired me up for this upcoming season. And oh, by the way, the 2023 list we just got done. You know, so many guys all across the state. And fortunately, it seems like, you know, you've done so much schedule work. It seems like a lot of like really, really good early season matchups that are going to pit a lot of these 2023 and 2022 guys on our list against each other.
Well, yeah, you know, talking about that, you want to give a little preview of what we're going to do on Tuesday?
Yeah, so Tuesday we're gonna have our draft. You know, Drew and I are gonna draft our high school teams for the upcoming season. Now, I don't know if we know completely how we're gonna determine who has the better team. because
We're gonna
that
let the people vote. We got to let the people
yeah,
vote.
the people vote. But then, like, I don't know. I mean, if you draft a team with a bunch of social media guys, I could accuse you of clout chasing just to try to win the draft. So, but yeah, we'll let the people vote and decide, which kind of makes me think that I got to sneak in some big time social media guys in there, or look at those booster fan pages and see who's got the most followers and things like that, or the commitments with the biggest fan base. Like, I mean, I'm going to pick my guys primarily on who I think is the best and kind of fits my roster and things like that. So we'll ultimately let the
I'm
people
just picking
decide.
to win. I'm picking to
Yeah,
win here.
yeah, you're
So
picking the win. That's fine, and we'll probably do a vote after we do them, and then another vote at the end of the season to see if
yeah.
anything changes, just to kind of compare the two. But I know that it sounds like you've done a lot more work on this than I have. I mean, I was kind of planning on doing
It's
it
true.
from the top of my head as I went through.
Well,
But
that's fine.
I do have the advantage of, like, I literally just poured over the 2023 list for like almost 2 months. So I feel like I know that group inside and out, but the 2022 group, kind of getting a refresher on them. But yeah, I'll have to kind of fine tune my strategy. But I think it's something people will really enjoy. We'll do the draft live, so we're not gonna, when we record the podcast on Tuesday. It'll probably be a longer one. We won't know who is picking who. It's going to happen live. It's going to happen organically. You're going to see it. You're going to watch it unfold if you tune into our YouTube videos and watch the podcast there, or when you're listening, you're going to listen to it unfold. So it'll definitely keep us on our toes, because I don't really, like, I have a sneaking suspicion about a few guys that I think you're going to target. But I don't, just from the way you talk about some players and things like that, I can kind of look at some positions and have a good idea that you're going to try to go after some certain players. But we're not going to know who is going to pick who. It's just going to happen. So you're going to get
Are you already accusing me of being a homer? Is that what's happening here?
Yes, I accuse you of being a homer all the time. So, like, anybody from the Rockwall area, I think it's going to be high on Drew's list. And also, I'm quite confident that you're going to take Jared Thomas very early on in the draft. So I'm already kind of crossing him off my first base list, because I know you're a big Jared Thomas guy, and I am too. But I just think you're probably a bigger Jared Thomas guy. But yeah, I'm already accusing you of being a homer, and I think that's going to show in your draft list.
All right. Well, I mean, if you look at all the rankings for high school teams, I mean, these teams are loaded. I can't help that I live in a hotbed. I mean, it's just, one that I helped build, if we're being honest.
Oh, wow. Now you're taking credit. For the area producing lots of talent. But no, it does. I mean, it's I didn't even fully realize it until I started with Five Tool, and I was like, man, like, I knew Rockwall Heath won the state championship, but like, I didn't realize how many guys are in that area.
It's crazy. Like, if you go back over the past like 10 years, so long after I was gone, when they started actually getting good. Now, just to throw it out there, the first time they made the state championship game was the year after I left. So I held them back for a while, clearly. But I mean, so for 2 weeks down the road, we're planning on doing a college draft,
right?
With the caveat that, we'll bring Kendall Rogers on, and between the three of us, we'll draft teams that the players have to come from the state of Texas or any state touching it. So New Mexico, Oklahoma, Arkansas, and Louisiana. Right. So, and as I was going through making my notes and, ranking my board and everything, I could make a pretty like competitive team with just guys that played at Rockwall or Heath. It's crazy. I mean, there's some good players in that group. Guys that I didn't even, that I didn't get to see all that much, not as much as I've seen this group, but it's going to be really interesting to see this list, I think, because, you just gave me your playbook on the catching side a little bit, but just so people understand, We're going to have, each team will have 16 players. So each will be drafting 2 catchers, a first baseman, second baseman, third baseman, shortstop, 3 outfielders, a DH, 2 utility guys, and 4 pitchers. So that's how we're constructing the teams. Yeah, there is a little strategy, and I've got a couple notes and potential tricks up my sleeve. But yeah, we'll be limited to the 2022 and 2023 5-tool 55 teams. So we have a pool of 110 players to get to 32 between the 2 of us. So I'm excited.
Where you're at a disadvantage is I've already been doing so many fantasy baseball drafts that my mind is in total roster construction mode. So like I'm feeling good about what positions are strong, what positions are weak, where I need to push guys up the list, like where do I need to get my pitchers, like all that sort of stuff. So you might have the clout stuff down, but I've got the roster construction stuff down, I think.
Well, I live in roster construction mode, that, and staff construction. So
it's gonna be exciting. Because I think the 22 list and the 23 list are different in terms of where they're stronger and where they're a little thinner positionally, and also too, like, the higher end guys, but also kind of that middle tier guys that are really, really good. I think that's kind of different between the lists. So I'll be curious to see how many 23s go early on compared to the 22s, and then just overall, what that looks like from a numbers standpoint, like how many 22s are drafted and how many 23s are drafted on the list.
I'm not commenting on that because I see you trying to get information out of me here.
It's almost like I was a reporter for 15 years, and I know those ways I can kind of pull some information out of you. But what I should have done is I should have held back the update until after the draft, and then you wouldn't have known, you wouldn't have completely known for sure.
If you think that I wouldn't have known what you thought of Jarrett Curtis, you've lost your mind.
That's true. That's true. Yeah.
I do have some sneaky little ideas that I think may give me a leg up in the end.
Okay. Yeah. You're, the Dallas area inside and out. So I wonder if I'm already expecting your list to be more DFW heavy than mine is, because I think you're just going to snatch up a lot of those DFW guys for sure. I got to rep my H-Town guys. Well,
why wouldn't I if Dallas is better than Houston?
Oh, here we go. Okay. Now just remember the people are listening. So if I get the city of Houston and South Texas and San Antonio and Syntex, I might get a lot more votes. I'm going to have more people coming to vote and more fired up that you just degraded the great city of Houston and the greater Houston area. Hey,
it's not degrading.
Have you looked at the population of Houston lately? It's up there for sure. But yeah, it's going to be fun. It'll be a good way to kick off. We talked about some of our high school preview coverage, and we got some plans, and we will actually write up this draft. So we'll actually publish a written component to this draft on 5tool.org, so you can kind of look through and we'll give some commentary about our picks and things like that, and as we go through the process and things like that, and we'll publish that on the website. So
should we have a bet on this?
Sure. I mean, I don't know how confident I am in the people to vote for the right team, but yeah, we'll bet.
Hey, this is about winning. This isn't about social media following. Give our listeners a little bit of credit that they know who the right team is that's going to win.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And I know there's scouts that listen to this. So the DMs are open. When this draft happens, I want to hear from the scouting community who they think drafted the better team, because those are the professionals that have to make these lists for a living.
Well, don't think there haven't been ones that have already been consulted that
Oh, so
that
you're
won't talk to you. That
oh,
won't talk to you.
okay. So you're dipping into the scouting Rolodex. Okay, all right. I'm gonna have to get on the horn here and pick some brains and see what I need to do there. But yeah, you're getting me fired up about this. I'm gonna have my weekend's gonna be fantasy baseball and 5-tool draft research to get us ready for Tuesday. But yeah, I can already tell it's probably gonna be a long podcast, but it's gonna be a fun one, and that'll kind of roll us into our high school coverage, and we'll write up some stuff about DFW and Syntax and Houston and San Antonio as well, just kind of previewing some things we're excited to watch, and players we're looking forward to seeing, teams we're looking forward to seeing, and all that sort of stuff. And especially as we go through these schedules and kind of map out where we're going to be. And that's something that, I think that we'll both share as the season approaches, and tweet out, hey, we're going to be here and here and here, this week, and going out and seeing these teams. And we'll have to play weatherman, obviously, and make sure that the games don't get rained out or anything like that. But I think 5-tool's doing its 5-tool game of the week again this season as well. So we'll be tweeting that out and sharing that information as well. But I always like kind of, sharing with people, hey, we're going to go check out your team or check out players or whatever it is. Just to give you an idea of us being out and getting eyes on as many of these guys as possible, and the 23s and in the 24s. I'm looking forward to kind of seeing some of those 24s that have already kind of made a name for themselves, and guys that we don't even know anything about that are going to become standout players throughout the course of this high school season.
Yeah.
How about if I asked you to estimate how many hours you've already spent prepping for this, what would you say? Over 10?
Like, no.
For the draft?
No. I mean,
over 5?
Like thinking about it, or like actively working?
Actively working.
Over 5, I would say.
Okay. Wow. Over 5. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. I think I've created a strategy, and I know who your favorites are too. So you can accuse me of being a homer all you want, but I know they may not live in your neighborhood, but I know a couple of guys that you're going to take.
You think so? Okay. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. I've got some things up my sleeve. I'm gonna keep you on your toes for sure in terms of some of these guys that I pick. But we'll see. There's some guys that didn't really play in the fall, but could be trending way up. I don't know. Might have to get in on those guys early before their stock really takes off. I don't know. We'll see. I've gotten some messages lately from some eyes out and about some players making some gains.
Yeah.
But how long are we going to keep the voting open for?
I don't know, probably end of the week. I don't know. Whatever Jeff tells us is best.
Yeah, that's true. We got to defer to the guru about timeline for voting and things like that. And he's going to help us out with kind of promoting it and stuff like that. And because he's way, 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 way better at that sort of thing than we are as well. But yeah, it's going to be fun. I'm already looking forward to it for sure. Then the college one, get Kendall on will be fun. And some, bummer news that we saw him report, Peyton Pallett, their Arkansas's ace, Kendall Rogers, reported this morning that he's going to be out for the season, UCL injury, so he's going to have to get Tommy John. And that's a guy that Texas saw throw last year in that tournament after the ice storm of the century in Arlington. And man, he was like
one of like 1592 plus arms.
Yeah. Texas fans are freaking out about not hitting, and it's like, have you seen the stuff they're facing after not picking up a bat for a week? Like Landon Sims, Peyton Pallett. I mean, it was just like an endless list of velocity. I think what was the lefty from Mississippi State threw too. That was a really good, I think, junior, senior.
Yeah, he started.
McLeod, I think Christian McLeod or something like that.
Yeah, he started.
So, I mean, it was just like an endless amount of arms. But yeah, that's a real bummer news. I mean, for Arkansas, Peyton Pallett was going to be a first-round pick. I mean, he was already drawing some Walker Buehler comps just because of the stuff and the delivery and things like that. So some bummer news there. But the college draft will be really fun as well, because the D1 baseball top 25 came out, and the region is well represented. The state of Texas is well represented. Big 12 is well represented. Obviously, the SEC's got teams all up and down that list as well. So it'll be fun to dip into the college pool and pull out some familiar names from the surrounding area and things like that. I imagine a lot of Texas guys that played high school baseball in Texas or junior college baseball in Texas will make that list for sure. But that's what we've kind of got on the horizon. Again, you can go to fivetool.org and check out our updated 2022 Five Tool 55, kind of getting us ready for a high school player draft. We will draft that live. You'll hear it happen as it unfolds. We won't know the picks ahead of time. And then you, the listener, viewer, consumer of our content, will have the opportunity to go vote. Go vote for my team. Do not vote for Drew's team. But just vote for you think the better team. But it definitely is going to be my team for sure. And we'll have.
Wait, what's the bet? What's the bet?
Well, it's with us too. It's probably going to be food related. Yeah, that's a good. I'm trying to think. What would be a good bet? I'd say food related or clothing related. Like, we're such big hoodie guys. Like, I think that the loser has to buy the other one 2 hoodies of his choice.
2?
Yeah. So we're talking like, you're not buying $80 hoodies, like, or maybe just one or 2.
Okay, so if you win, I will buy you a hoodie.
Okay, of my choice. Yes, of my choice. Yes. Or I will return it and get one. Reasonable choice. Yeah, I'm not going on eBay and finding an autographed Bobby Bowden hoodie and making you buy it. Like, it'll be a reasonable. Yeah, I think that's fair. It kind of reminds me when you guys did the academic stuff for Texas, and those guys got the special gear, and people were so fired up about that. Like, and that's kind of how we are now. Like, we get so fired up when Cherie hooks us up with our gear that we get to rock on the podcast and the YouTube channel.
I'm just glad we figured out the real person to go to if we need something.
Yeah, it took us a while, but we've only been here 6-7 months, so we just had to figure out who pulls all the strings and runs the show, and we finally did. And we know it's not Shane. We know it's Cherie for sure. That's the person to go to get us hooked up with everything. But yeah, I think we've established that it's a hoodie. Okay, the winner receives a hoodie from the other person, and they get to pick which one it is. So that's a big deal to me, because I've got a couple in my mind already that I really want that I just haven't bought recently.
It's probably like a what I guess you don't call it would be called a shoody, right? Like you're a big jersey guy.
I do like the jersey. Yeah. But no, like
it wouldn't be it would be a Hersey is what you're looking for.
A Hersey? No, yeah. I'm not getting a Hersey. I've got the Belichick one on today that I really like. It's perfect for days like this when it's so cold outside that it's kind of cold inside, because I don't want to run the heater and run the bill up that much until my wife comes and complains that it's too cold in the house. But like, you don't realize too, like, I realized this when I started going out to a bunch of high school games when I was helping the Dodgers with their amateur consultant program, and just going out and getting eyes on some guys in Central Texas. And like, I remember going to Fredericksburg to watch a guy pitch, and it was like March. And once that sun went down, like, it got really cold. And it's like, oh yeah, like you can't go out here dressed in just a little fleece and khaki pants. Like, you need some real stuff to watch these games. And so we're going to be geared up when we go to these things. But yeah, we've managed to, I hope you feel the excitement in our voices about this draft. We've got our competitive juices flowing, because this is the way we compete now.
I'm just a little annoyed we have to wait till Tuesday. at this point.
Yeah,
So.
well, we gotta build it up a little bit. Like, like you gotta tease it. You gotta kind of get the people interested and looking forward to it and that sort of thing. I was, that's part of my old job. I had to be a little clickbaity at times, and you got to get people fired up about what's coming down the road and things like that. And plus, it gives you more time over the weekend to try to come up with a losing strategy. But yeah, it'll be good. Be good. I'm just going to go down these lists and I'm going to highlight the guys I think Drew is going to take. And it's, yeah, we'll figure it out for sure.
Well, okay. So, well, all right. Who do you think?
I'm not giving that away. I'm not giving that away. I mean, I know you're going to take Braden Randall with your first pick. Other than that, like, I mean, that's, I actually think you won't take any Heath guys because they're a rival.
Well,
you're such a Rockwall homer that
but Heath didn't exist when I was in school, so I don't. And one of my coaches is the head coach, Coach Harvey. Who?
Yeah, that's true. Okay, fair point.
I do not have 100%.
But like, I feel like you're just gonna.
I don't have 100% ill will towards Heath.
You're gonna hammer DBU's commit list. I know that. You're gonna hammer that list because you like those guys so much. Like, yeah, I know. Like, I listen. I pick up on the clues throughout. So I think I'm going to have you well scouted, and I'll definitely keep you on your toes for sure. But
how are we going to decide who gets the first pick?
Flip a coin.
You got a coin?
No, I don't.
I do.
Okay.
All right.
Can I see both sides? I need to see. Okay.
It is a quarter.
Okay, quarter. Okay,
a
it's
normal
not one of those trick quarters.
Heads and tails, not a trick quarter.
What year is it? What's the year on the quarter?
2003 state of Illinois quarter.
Okay,
all right. I'll let you call it.
Okay.
Heads or tails?
Tails.
It is heads.
Okay, so do you want to receive the ball or defer?
I will go. I will do what Dallas should have done, and I will.
So that means so you go first. That means I get back-to-back picks, right? So you go 1, and I go 2, 3, and you go 4. Right? Like a snake draft? We'll figure it out. But I got to have some sort of like for going second. Like, I can't just be one pick behind the rest of the draft. There's got to be a point where I get to go back to back. So we'll have to come up with something. But yeah, where our draft is coming on Tuesday. That's the main point here. But from the 2022 and 2023 5-55 list again. We updated our 2022 list on the website. Jarrett Curtis, the big mover, up to number 3. Max Ballou up to number 8. Colin McKinney, right-handed pitcher from Clear Creek, up to number 31. Easton Carmichael up from 35 to 24. And the new name on the list, Christian Salazar, infielder from Cy Ranch. Could play the outfield at a high level, I think, too. But second baseman, outfielder from Cy Ranch, committed to Rice. Standout guy in the summer, standout guy in the fall. Big fan of him and looking forward to getting some eyes on him during the high school season. Looking forward to get eyes on all these guys, especially the pitching side too. Like, I think that off season between, your last summer and then your high school season as a senior, I think is when you see a lot of guys kind of make some physical gains and some things really start to take off. And those 2023 guys are just kind of scratching that surface in terms of making those gains and things like that. So we're really excited to get out on the road. And once the high school season fires up, I mean, we're going to be all over the place. I mean, you're probably going to be sick of how many, things we tweet out and videos and stories and everything else. But we really plan to cover this state as best we can and best we reasonably can, for sure. So
I'm giving you the first pick.
You're giving me the first pick.
Yeah. So I'll take 2. I'll take 2 and 3.
No, but you already said you were taking the ball. This is like the Thanksgiving Day Lions Steelers thing. Like, the referee already declared.
I don't think we don't need a snake draft with two people. It should just go back and forth.
Okay, that's fair. We'll go back and forth. We don't need a snake
Okay,
draft.
I'll take the first pick then.
Okay.
We'll do snake with Kendall.
Yeah. Well, yeah, Kendall's definitely not listening, so we'll figure out a way that we can give ourselves an advantage over Kendall for sure, because he's definitely not tuning in right now. But well, that about wraps us up for today. Draft upcoming on Tuesday. The 2022 list is updated. 2023 list is published. We wrapped up all of our podcast coverage of that with the previous episode. High school draft Tuesday, college draft the following Tuesday. And that'll really carry us into the season, the high school baseball season. Scrimmages are going to be happening soon. Preseason tournaments are going to be happening soon, which means we'll be out and watching, observing, writing, evaluating, videoing, whatever it is. We're going to be covering some games very, very soon in the near future. So get to Podbean, get to Apple Podcasts, get to the 5-Tool website and hit that podcast tab up there, and get to our YouTube page. Please, if you enjoy kind of engaging with content that way, go to the 5-Tool Baseball YouTube page, click the subscribe button. We're publishing a lot of not just podcasts, but highlight videos and things like that on the website as well. It would really help us out if you go on there, hit that subscribe button. And if you want to leave us a nice review on Apple Podcasts, it helps us get discovered a little easier when people are kind of searching high school baseball and things like that, that they want to consume in podcast form. But that about wraps us up. The S2 cognition stuff, that series is all done. You can listen to those episodes, which I highly encourage you to do, and go to s2cognition.com to learn more about that. Something that we really, really believe in at 5-Tool, partnering with those guys, because it's just, I think it's the next frontier in terms of the development piece from the baseball side. But you got anything else, Drew, before we wrap this up?
Nope. I am already making my picks in my mind.
Oh boy, here we go.
Looking forward to a hoodie. Looking forward to that hoodie.
Yeah. Well, on behalf of Drew, who's in for a rude awakening next week, I'm Dustin McComas. Stay warm, stay safe, and take care. We'll talk to you later.